Brendan, how's your squad looking? Looked from the part of training we saw that Alistair Johnston and Kyogo weren't involved. How's the general group?
Yeah, general group's okay. We just look at one or two between now and the weekend. Today was a lower intensity day anyway, so players have been really good all week, and we just decided for one or two of the players just to do a little bit less today. So and then we'll have a final look at it tomorrow.
So are those two still in the mix for Sunday potentially?
Yeah, but we'll certainly. Ali will be fine. Kyogo, we just have to have a little look at him.
Obviously, the news has emerged over the course of the last few days. There'll be no away fans in the games coming up between Celtic and Rangers, the first two at least. As someone who spoke so enthusiastically about the return of supporters to the fixture, what's your reaction to it?
Clearly disappointed for both sets of supporters, because it's been a long time now since we had this sort of a decent allocation for both clubs. I think it's not complicated. I believe there was an agreement in place to carry out works to ensure that the clubs are done. It's in place for both sets of supporters to come. Celtic have been working on that for a number of months. I know that, and I know the work that has gone into it, and the investment to ensure that everything was right for this fixture. So, but you can only do that if the agreement is upheld with both. So if we can't then guarantee that, then sadly we aren't able to open the gates for away support for this one. So I think the statement was that it was for the next two games. So fingers crossed that after that we see in the final couple of games that we can get the supporters back in.
For the good of the fixture, for the good of the product, could Celtic have taken it in good faith that Rangers would have had everything in place in time for the return fixture at the start next year?
Well, no, I think beforehand I think the board have made a really, really good decision in terms of, the club's job is to protect the support, and if there's not that guarantee that come the second fixture, then I think it's only logical that you wouldn't reciprocate. So I think Celtic have played their part in what they were asked to do. And again, I go back, nothing of this was Celtic's issue. Nothing. When you go back to when this all started, it's nothing to do with Celtic. Celtic gets dragged into this here as being a Celtic Rangers thing. It's not a Celtic Rangers thing. This is a Rangers thing. So Celtic, when even they're asked to and have this agreement to make the stadium safe and everything else, we plough money into that. We do the works, which started months ago. And that, like I said, on both parties, it hasn't been agreed. So it's not complicated. It hasn't been done. For good faith, whatever way you want to put it, there's still an agreement for both, right? So it's not done. It's not great faith. If we allow Rangers supporters in, then we get to January and our own supporters can't get in. That's not good faith. So I think that the agreement hasn't been upheld. So Celtic rightly have to defend their supporters and their club. And sadly, as I said, the Rangers supporters miss out on this game and Celtic in the return game. But let's hope that after that we can then find a way to get the supporters in.
You mentioned Kyogo. It's a doubt. Good thing you've got a new signing in Adam either. You must be delighted to have that one.
As if by magic. Yeah. It's I'm absolutely delighted. People talk about transfer fees and everything else. This is a guy who paid that last year. I'm delighted for him because I think that he's got huge potential. He showed that last season, and if ever I was so relaxed on a signing, it was this one here, because I knew what his talent is. What you never know sometimes in recruitment, and you never really understand it and know it until you come in, is the mentality of a player. And I think what I've seen with him in my time here is that he had proven to me he has that big game mentality, big club mentality. So I wanted to do everything I can, and I thank the board for reaching out and getting at him here, because I think that over the next 2 to 3 years he can really flourish and show all the quality that he has. He's in an environment where he'll improve. He's shown that he can deal with pressure and play big moments. And I'm really excited for him and for the Celtic supporters and obviously for the team that we've got someone back who can really help us be successful going forward.
You may be surprised at some people questioning the fee or losing their eyebrows at the fee.
Isn't it? You can never win, can you? You know what I mean? You don't spend money. You do spend money. You spend too much. It's like, you know, we've got a great deal. I know the player that we have here, and for me, it's just a case of just getting him moving in the direction that I believe he can move in. He has all the talent. He's 6'3". He's quick. He's strong. His touch is good. He can score goals, and like I said, he has big moments in big games. So for me, there's still areas that he can improve on, of course, and as a young player, that's what you'd expect. But I really think that whatever money we paid for him, he's worth every single penny of it, and he'll demonstrate that in the next 24 months that he'll be worth a lot more than that.
Is that a good problem to have in terms of trying to work the game time for Adam and for Kyogo? You managed to do it last season. There will be talk of people saying, you know, who's the number one striker, but in terms of they both offer something different, and game to game you'll be able to work out.
Yeah, I think, listen, I'll make it clear, I see them both as number one strikers. I don't see one as number one, number two. I think Kyogo in his time here has been absolutely brilliant. Been really, really good, and this season he started off the season really, really well, and so that's great. But you can't rely on someone who only play it to the highest level 55 to 60 games a season. You know, we want to go deep in as many of the competitions as we can, so that will take us to that number of games, and you can't have just one striker to do that. I felt that I wanted another guy who I can call a number one striker, so that's what I feel I have, just depending on the game, depending on the energy in the team, just depending on the circumstances of the match or the fixture list. Then having those two is a big asset for us.
I think the only blip last season for yourself would have been the League Cup. Obviously this stage came quite early in your return to the club. Does that give you an extra determination to go out and get that trophy this year?
Yeah, we were disappointed last season. I think I mentioned it before that you know, probably from my first spell, I had this sort of ball and chain sort of wrapped around me in terms of winning trophies and everything else, and that probably allowed us to break free from that in an indirect way, even though we'd have loved to have won it. But certainly from that point and moving forward, we've progressed and developed, and the team's in a much better place now. You know, my compass always is looking at training and seeing how training is, and I look this season and how we've been training, how we've been working, and we've been able to take that onto the games. So this is the next game, which is the most important one, and for us, we want to get through. So there's no doubt, you know, we I've always said it, and we should set that mentality and target of wanting to win every trophy, and that's something that we know, though we have to work very, very hard to do, and that starts on Sunday.
In terms of obviously the watch habit, the fees and all that stuff, and the media and all that stuff, but is this kind of big move a kind of a sign for fans that the club do mean business, and they can take back confidence that there will be business done in the last back window again?
Well, I think we have to listen. I think for supporters, when you actually, if you look at it from a supporter's perspective, I think what they want from the club is two things. I always think. I think one, is your club well run? So there's no doubt, Celtic, the club is super well run, everything, organisation, very, very good. And two, I think supporters want to have the best team possible on the pitch. That allows them to skip back to each game really excited about watching their team. And I always think that's the challenge, and that's our challenge, to get to the end of this window, to have the very best team that we possibly can have on the field. And that's what we want. And that's what supporters want. So hopefully we can do that. Well, I say hope. I want us to be able to do that.
You spoke in January, Brendan, about maybe persuading the club to be a bit braver in the market. Is this the kind of perfect example of that type of deal where you're buying something that's you're getting quality straight away, but something that's obviously could be a good investment down the line as well.
Yeah, it's just the attitude to risk. It's the level of risk. You know, you can sign a player for £1-2 million fine, and you might sell them for 10 million. You know, but you can sign a player for 7 or 8, and maybe sell them for 30 to 40. It's the same. It's the same thing, you know. But it's really trusting the process and trusting a team of people that can work very, very hard, and then allowing you to get the players in. So, but like I said, the Celtic supporters deserving of that. You know, what they invest week in, week out to this team, worldwide merchandise, everything. It's a duty here for us to try and get the best team we possibly can on the field. And as I said, to inspire them to come and watch their team, and that's what we try to do by the football that we play. But that will always be elevated by the level of player that you have. So that's our notion over these final weeks of the season, to try and look to have a really strong team.
At the stage now where, you know, obviously there's still interest in some of your players as well, will that determine what the club do? Will it now be a case of finding out, you know, whether you'll have, you know, money coming in before you decide how to spend it?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think financially we're in a really good place. I think the sale of anyone, it shouldn't have to determine what we do. Like I've said before, we don't want to lose Matt O'Reilly, you know, but I still feel we need to strengthen in certain areas, and we have the resource to do that. So selling players won't determine what we can bring in, but we need to. We want to improve the squad, and again, this is separate to the guys that are here, because the guys here have absolutely been brilliant. You know, they've been great for me, and as we've moved on and connected and everything else, it's been great. But you always have to look to improve, and not only that, there are certain gaps in our squad where we're light in terms of numbers and cover and competition. So that's what we have to work very hard to try and achieve by the end of the window.
But just going back to the competition, Brendan, it's often kind of looked at as maybe the fourth kind of priority generally, but how important, like, and maybe last year showed at the start, how important can this competition be so early in the season, chance to get the trophy in the cabinet early in the season, and give you that platform for the rest of it?
Yeah, I think it's really it's good. I really enjoyed that the first time I was up here. I felt it brings a nice edge early on in the season, rather than having to wait till later on in the season before you can win trophies. So yeah, I thought it was really good, and it's an opportunity for you to get your hands on a trophy, which is again, it's been a great part of the history of this club. So we want to challenge in every competition that we're in, and obviously this is our first one here. So I'm excited by the start now.
Get to that stage of the season, Brendan, when a lot of fans will be starting to think about Europe and the Champions League. Will they be a month or so away now? Is that going to be a sort of key factor in what you look to do recruitment wise over the final part of the window? Players who can come in and make an impact to that level. Just I'm thinking specifically with Adama and Nicholas Kuhn, two guys who weren't part of the Champions League last season, who have come in and made a good impact. Is it that sort of level of player that you would ideally like to bring in? Yeah,
well, if you look at those two players, I think one of the key attributes, or a couple of the key attributes that those possess, is power and speed. And at that level, it's very, very important. You have all the tactical ideas of the game and whatnot, but certainly at that level, the speed and power is very, very important alongside the technique. So that is certainly some of the attributes that we will look at in the players that we bring in.
In terms of Matt, if the valuation of the club is met, just how confident are you that you'll be able to quickly, because obviously the Champions League coming up quite fast, you can quickly tap into the market and replace the quality that you've obviously lost it, should he go?
Well, that's listen. It's not a secret. You know, it's the model of the club. So players, it will happen, and it's actually, in some ways, it's really, really good that players can come here and prove and develop. We'd love them to be able to stay for 5-10 years, whatever else. But sadly, in the modern game, that's not how it's working. However, it is showing that you do something really, really right by bringing a player in, developing and improving him, and then he maybe grows to a level where his ability allows him to go on and earn much, much more than what he can earn here. That's fine. I think everyone accepts that. The next bit's crucial, getting that pipeline of player or that planning in place that allows the next one to come in, and then that allows you to freely understand if a player moves on, but you can then bring in the replacement straight away, or have him here before that.
Is that what you prefer, arguably, bringing in Matt's replacement? If you were to go beforehand, to bring someone in who's should someone meet the valuation, then there's someone there?
Well, it's either way, really. I think that it's having the competition and having the quality into the squad is what you want, and obviously the earlier you can get that in, the better. But there's no doubt it's very difficult that for like to like, would you replace Matt? But you can certainly develop the team if someone like that was to go or another player was to go for that figure. You can still develop your team and develop your squad.
So in terms of that recruitment process, obviously there's been a few changes behind the scenes in terms of the recruitment side of things. How is that at the moment? Are you comfortable with that? Is that have an impact on this summer perhaps, or is it up to speed? Or where is that?
No, we need to improve that department. Not the people here. The people that are here are absolutely fantastic. The work they've put in over the course of the summer and going back over the months, been so diligent. Covered many games, travelled out to games. So I've done so much work on that front. But it's still an area I think that we can review after the window and see where, like every area, every department, where we can improve it. And I said it, I think it was last week, that recruitment is, alongside your playing and management and coaching staff, your recruitment department is key at your football club. Because, as I said, if you don't get that right, there can be very costly mistakes. So for us, it's a constant look at it, where we can develop and improve it. But the guys that have been here, they've worked ever so hard, going through the various options and availability of players to try and help us.
Right. And just on the fee for Adam, you've spoken about the kind of money back there and the money that's still there potentially to be spent. Normally in the past, when there's been that kind of outlay, it's an outlier for a window. But is there maybe a change in system now where you could go again and spend something similar within this window?
Yeah, I think I've said it before here. It's one where, for example, if you spend 18 million and you spend it on 9 players, I would hope there's a possibility to spend 18 on 3 players. It's 6 million. So it's a bit, like I've always said it, our model is to bring in young players to develop and improve. But you can bring young players in to develop and improve, but at a higher level. And then you know a little bit more of what you're getting maybe. And there's maybe a higher ceiling. But you might be able to bring in 1 more at that level or 2 more. But as I said, I think we can do that. It's just about getting the right player.
Is Mikey Johnson okay after last week?
Yeah, he won't be available for the weekend. He'll rejoin the training group fairly soon. So, a little problem with his sort of eye socket a bit deeper back in his face, but hopefully he'll be okay fairly soon.
What's his general situation, Brendan? Do you foresee him being part of the squad this season going forward?
I'm just open at the moment in terms of where things are at. I gave Mikey his debut back and when he was 18 and played him, so we've got a good relationship and we talk openly. I think he's at a stage, Mikey, where he'll probably want to play and play more, but he's worked hard over pre-season, put himself in a really good position. There's some clubs have shown interest in him, but we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks.